I just want to give this to the world.
Right.
How many families could you help today?
This is Ray Black and Kevin Waring on TRU-Man podcast, talking about the 8 P's of male masculinity. Kevin dropping knowledge in the concept of the first P, which is purpose. We ain't even get into the other 7 yet. This is gonna be good. Stay tuned. Welcome. This is Ray Black of TRU-Man podcast, your life coach of encouragement, where we reflect on the work and the worth of a man, and we focus on gold paradigms and diamond principles. Welcome back to the channel, family. It's been a little while. Today, we're going to step into the first guest person on this platform. We'll call it a collab, and this young man brings some deep insight. He brings a fresh perspective, and we're going to jump into a topic that might be of interest to the people out there listening. Today, we're going to discuss something about what I call the 8 P's of male masculinity. Why is this important? In this day and age, we hear a lot of conversation and discussion about providing and protecting that a man gives in a relationship. First, let's introduce our guest, or allow him, Mr. Kevin Waring, to give us a little bit of insight on who he is and what he brings to the conversation. Kevin, welcome to the TRU-Man podcast platform.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm just a regular person, man. I got a little introduction. I'm just regular.
Yeah.
But no, guys, my name is Kevin Waring, and I'm an intellectual. Some of you may know me, some of you don't, but I'm a father of 2, a husband, pretty nice guy. I would like to, I would like to say.
Yeah, we concur on that.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty cool. I'm all right. My sons think I am, so I'm good. But yeah, I'm an intellectual, and I'm ready to have a great conversation, man. I know
Absolutely.
I've been watching your videos a lot, and it's
Yes.
actually become a part of my my regimen every week, and I've been missing you for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah,
so
it's been a minute.
Gotta hop back on that.
We're going to dig right back into it today, though.
Yep.
We're going to dig back into it today. Kevin and I have some interesting conversations on topics that really inform, how I think, what I say. I would call him, one part of my youth council, if you want to say it like that. But today, we're going to get into something, an interesting topic. These days and age, relationships, build-ups and breakdowns are constantly making the rounds of the news. And we hear this concept regularly about, men, they're supposed to provide and protect. Men don't provide and protect. There are not enough men out there who can provide and protect, so to speak. And it kind of rubs me in a way when I hear the concept, because I'm thinking that the concept is a little bit more can be added to the conversation in regards to what it means for a man to provide and protect. And truthfully, when it's used by itself, the concept is a little bit naked to me. So we're going to dig into this idea that was inspired inside of me about what does it mean to be a masculine man? What does it really take? How do we show up as masculine men, if that's your interest? That is my interest, right? We can't speak, or I can't speak in this platform. We can't really have a conversation about, masculinity from a female point of view,
Mm-hmm.
or too much about male femininity,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, we all have a degree of balance, but primarily men are known for their masculinity, right? And so just thinking about how do we mature in that concept, the ideas came to my mind about a fully formed male construct, the 8 P's of male masculinity. So what is it? Let's dive into it instead of prepping the conversation, right? There are 8 P's into masculine men, if you ask me, right? Before we even get to providing and protecting, there are certain things that men go through in terms of their developing and maturing. Providing and protecting is not something that can be done just by anyone at any stage in life. Now, there's some fluidity to this concept, right? Because not everybody arrives or develops in the same way. But the first three P's in this concept are the concept of purpose. A man must know his purpose. Passion. A man's fully formed passion is what gives him the go forward, the energy, the drive to do what he does, right? The third P is presence. What does presence entail? Presence entails how we show up, right? How we are viewed. It's our temperament, how we present ourselves to the world, our articulation, how we speak when we're in the presence of others, right? And also our presentation, how we dress, how we groom. This man has a beard. I'm a little bit more clean shaven with a goatee, right? Our presentation to the world. So those first three P's are what I call what we give really to ourselves. It's our own personal form of development. Purpose, passion, and presence, right? And that's even before we get to the place of providing and protecting. So before we even jump into providing and protecting, Kevin and I are going to talk a little bit about purpose, passion, and presence. And listen, I have to say this before we get in the conversation. Kevin and I, we get a little colorful in our back and forth in the conversation. So if that happens, it's par for the course. We are not upset at each other, and we're gonna be fine at the end of the conversation.
We will be fine.
We will be fine. But yeah. So, you have any thoughts on what was presented there?
Well, I guess we just gonna jump right into it, eh?
Let's do it, eh?
All right. So with the AP, first of all, I just want to say they haven't heard the other P's yet, but that was very well put.
Thank you.
It kind of covers a wide range of things
Mm-hmm.
that need to be covered. And then as you
I'm
were
smiling because I know you're about to set me up for the
no, no, no,
SmackDown.
as you were like saying it, I'm just thinking about, because I have two sons, so it's like I'm always thinking about how to set them up for success,
Yes.
but how to groom them as men and what they need to know, and a lot of this is what they need to know now, and they're like 5 and 7.
Right.
So this is beautiful because this conversation is going to help me in raising my son, so I
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Absolutely.
But let's hop right in.
Yeah.
Purpose. One of the hardest things for a man to find.
Mm-hmm.
It's because when they think they found it, sometimes they didn't really find it. It was just a want.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't really a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just gonna go straight. I'm gonna go straight to it.
Go straight to it, man.
So I've, as you can see, my shirt says "Let go and let God."
Let
but
go. Bring the mic down a little bit so they can.
Yeah, it says, let go and let God. It's just a constant reminder.
Absolutely.
A constant reminder for me to let go and let God. But I'm a Christian man, and say that with more bass. I'm a Christian man.
Absolutely.
But,
Let's go.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, purpose off the back is to do God's work. That's number one.
What does that mean?
And we probably could have a whole episode on that, but it's
Yeah.
pretty general. First we got to say God is first in everything. Period.
We can agree. We can agree on that. Absolutely. And they're going to be listeners who, are not religious observers.
Yeah.
They're going to be people who have their own faith structure, right?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
family? And people who have their own, lane that they operate in terms of the spirit and the supernatural world and the reality and awareness of God in their lives. So
Yeah. Which is totally understandable, and we could definitely have a conversation, about that as well.
Right.
I'm never here to say, you have to be a certain way. This is just my walk.
Absolutely.
that I've been taking with Christ, and these are my views.
Yes.
Excuse me. And my view is, God is first in everything.
Yes.
With that being said, our number one purpose is to do God's work. Now, what is God's work? I think it's pretty simple when you lay out what God wants from you. You know, God wants you to be righteous, wants you to be a good person, and He also wants you to do good for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how that may look in your life, that's what you need to find out. Like, how are you going to make a change in your family,
Mm-hmm.
in your own life, in your community? That's God's work, making change, but making change for good.
Okay.
So there are different ways that you can do that. And with your walk with God, you'll find that way.
Mm-hmm.
But first and foremost, you have to do your purpose is your purpose here is
Okay.
to do God's work.
Interesting. Interesting. On this channel, actually, we've dived a bit into the idea of purpose. If you haven't had the chance to look at purpose over passion in the third dimension, it laid out some concepts. It laid out some ideas, right, on how we find purpose. You know, I'll say that I too am a believer. The way that I express and exercise faith is that it's from a demonstration perspective, a purpose. If we're talking about purpose, Kevin said that, our purpose certainly is to serve God and do good. Do I believe that? Yes. Yes. That's I would say that's the ultimate layer of purpose. What I like to think as we live out this life and purpose is that there's a way that uh the purpose is tailored to who we are as
Mhm.
individuals.
Can I stop you there?
Yes.
So in my synopsis of what our purpose is, one thing that I want you guys to understand is that purpose can't, well, in my head, purpose is not just one thing. So God being first is the first part of your purpose. But then we can go into the purpose where it's tailored for yourself,
Okay.
right? So I think when we go to that level,
Hmm.
which should be the next level because it's God and you. So on that next level, it's to be the best you that you can be. And then
Okay.
you have to figure out what that looks like. Now,
Okay.
in figuring that, trying to figure out what that looks like, you have to know what you like,
Right.
what's going to be best for you,
Hmm.
what's going to be best for your family,
Right.
right? And then you have to know how to use that to be the best person that you can be, right?
Kev is smiling because he know we're about to get into it.
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
No, what he said is definitely right. Just there's layers to it, and finding out how that purpose fits and is tailored to you and your family, and but God as the starting point, hmm, of purpose. So the way that I relate to purpose, Kev, is akin to a man finding himself.
Mhm.
The way that I see purpose, a man has to go and search and wrestle purpose from the jaws of the leviathan almost,
Mhm.
right, to know who and what we are designed to do. Some people have natural abilities. you know let's bring up popular names. Right now we have the NBA series.
Mhm.
You understand, is the Joker, is his purpose. LeBron, his purpose is it basketball? I think that there's a danger of people who are particularly talented, people who are particularly gifted, never having really found their purpose.
Mhm.
Because now I'm gonna bring it right back to what Kevin said, is that ultimately purpose is going to be seated in something that pleases God ultimately. Now, man, I love God, but I don't want to lose anyone who isn't vibrating in that way, because this conversation can definitely bring something to whether you agree with that standing, or if you don't agree with that standing. Still, purpose is going to be something that each person has to wrestle with. in their life, in their world, and how you come up on your faith or your belief or your insight, right? That's going to be a personal thing. And I definitely respect that. You know, what I would also say with purpose is that there's a lot of things that will get in the way of us finding purpose, right? And some of those things are things that have been created as a result of our experiences, um, as a result of how we were raised, as a result of what we've seen in the world, what we've been exposed to. And so, yeah, purpose is just the thing that we go and get,
Mhm.
you know. And I'll pause it there. Let's see if there's any.
Well, from what I'm hearing, it's to me it's getting more complicated. As we speak about it, and I honestly think that is super not super easy because it's hard to do,
Okay.
but if you find a way to please God and use your talents to please God, I think you found your purpose. And it's almost as simple as that. The problem is people have talents, but once they figure out what their talents are, they try to use it for themselves.
Mm,
And that's the problem.
very
When
interesting.
you start to use the talents that God gave you for yourself, then things start to go wrong. I'm not saying it's going to be immediate. I'm not saying that, you're just
Hmm.
going to see it in the sky, oh, this is going wrong. No. But you start to stray away from the path that eventually is going to lead you to satisfaction at the end of the day.
Hmm.
Whereas if you just use your talents for what God wants you to use your talents for, which ultimately is just to be a better person and help those around you. It's
Hmm.
super simple.
Mm,
It's super simple. He just wants you to be the best you can be,
right.
and then use your talents to help other people. That's it. Now,
I love that.
I'm sorry,
Mhm.
when you start to use your talents, to get money and chase money, then you get the results that you get. So I think
Yes.
purpose, it's not written in stone. It's not like written in stone, like, all right, this is gonna, like, you follow God, you make sure that all of your talents are for God, and this is gonna like, it's not like that, because like you said, there's gonna be obstacles.
Right.
But if you just stay on that track,
Yes.
ultimately you will live out your purpose.
Yeah. Listen, I will say I'm on that line now. Here's the statement that I would introduce into what you just said.
Yeah.
Life happens.
Hmm.
Life happens. So, yeah, I mean, if we find our talents, what does that mean? What percentage of us population are really tuned in with
LeBron could dunk.
the idea of talent? The one in a million guy, the one in the 1.5 million
Chris
guy.
Brown could sing.
Oh, that's the one in 1.5 million in the singing category. Go ahead. So you got one in basketball, one in singing. Go
It's a
ahead.
bunch of people
You
that
gonna,
could
you
sing.
gonna put okay? We're gonna get 5 out of 1.5 million.
uh KB is a martial artist.
Yeah. Well, listen. Everybody has things they do, but now here's the question: Does what
Oprah does radio. I mean, Oprah has a show.
because because we do something well? Does that mean that
That's where the talent is.
that's where our purpose lies? So now I heard you link talent to purpose. And I don't necessarily, because here's the thing. Lots of us have talents in different places. So do the talent and the purpose are they aligned? Absolutely. I have a
No.
background in accounting. I have a background. I'm good at it. In my personal development, here we go. Here we go. in my development, accounting, it doesn't play a huge role in purpose for me.
Can I pause it? Oh, you want to go ahead because
Yeah, let me
no
put
kid.
a little more on that.
All right,
So
yeah,
you
no,
got,
I'm with you on that.
so you
Please.
got something more.
Yeah, go
So you
ahead.
got something more to fight with.
Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's one thing. Now there are things that I do that I'm good at that lead into my purpose, but ultimately, you want to know what? There are concepts like the purpose for me. The purpose concept is I need to make a purpose statement. How do I get to my purpose statement? Can you make a purpose statement for your life? Now, when I make my purpose statement, accounting is not a part of my purpose statement. I'm a martial artist. Martial arts is not a part of my purpose statement. So you're gonna say, what is your purpose statement? I'm not revealing that right now, but I want to use that to drive home the point that there are things I do well that are not necessarily the guiding points, the guiding posts for what I'm designed to do while I'm here. I'll pause it there.
All right. All right. So let me break down. Let me break down purpose fully before I even address
Yes.
purpose. God, self, family, world. Purpose. God, self, family, world. Full purpose. God, what God wants you to do is ultimate purpose. What you need to do to be the best you is the next level. What you need to do to govern your family and make sure that your family is operating at maximum potential. Third level. Fourth level is now that you have everything
Mhm.
as far as like self, which is God, self, and family, now you give it back to the world.
So there's four purposes.
No. There's four things that attribute to your purpose as
Okay.
as an
Okay.
individual.
A quadrinity of purpose.
Right?
Quadrinity. You heard that word coined here on TRU-Man podcast. Quadrinity
I like that.
of purpose.
I like that one. I can't even
You
hate.
can't even mess with that,
I
right?
like it. Quadrinity.
Quadrinity of purpose.
Shirts coming in.
Let's go. Shirts coming in.
soon.
Merch. All right. Intellectual property covered here.
But yeah. So with that being said, you mentioned accounting, right? You can use accounting to help the world. You can use martial arts to help the world. If you saw that your second nature is numbers, you use that to please God. How can you use numbers to please God? By helping yourself, right? To making sure that you understand numbers, making sure that your bank accounts, everything is in order.
Absolutely.
Because when you do that, then you're a better person,
Right.
especially in this day and age, right?
Right.
You use the numbers to make sure that your family is good,
Mhm.
that we're not going in a bunch of overdrafts, we're not in debt, we make sure those numbers are good. And then you give it back to the world. Now you got a system for you and your family that's working great. Now it's time to, you know what? Let me package this up and give this to the world.
Right.
Not even charge. Sometimes you don't even have to charge. I just want to give this to the world.
Right.
How many families could you help today?
This is Ray Black and Kevin Waring on TRU-Man podcast talking about the 8 P's of male masculinity. Kevin dropping knowledge in the concept of the first P, which is purpose. We ain't even get into the other 7 yet. This is gonna be good. Stay tuned.
How many families could you help with helping them with numbers, with financials? Like, that's one of African American families. That's one of our number one problems, is dealing with financials. We're consumers. We're seen as consumers. Every time they speak about us, they say, oh, we have 1.2 trillion buying power.
Right. Right.
We're seen as buying power.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. What I'm saying is it's a number.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes to show that we have power in financials, but we're giving it all away.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you said you're good at accounting. That's all we need is people that's good at accounting, and people to listen.
But now right, you said something key. We need.
Mhm.
The question is, when we realize our purpose, is this something that we're giving to ourselves or something that we're giving to the world? This is interesting because his concept is not wrong. We're having a dialogue. In the framework that Ray Black presents, purpose is part of the layer of male masculinity of what we give to ourselves. I'm listening to Kevin, and he's framing the concept that purpose is part of what we give to the world, or through the exercise of what we do is part of what we give to the world. And it's interesting,
Right.
right? It's another way of looking at it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But let's be clear.
Mm-hmm.
In the framework that I'm presenting, purpose is something that we forage, that we search, that we secure for our own personal selves. And it's part of the bedrock of our identity, and that determines how we move in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's the first P of the 8 Ps of male masculinity.
No, and I see where you're coming from with that, which makes total sense. Which I feel is covered in the first level for me of purpose,
Mm-hmm.
which is God. Like once you find your purpose in God, so really in order to find your purpose in God as well, you need to know your talents. You need to understand who you are
Mm-hmm.
and know your talents, and then know how you're going to give that, or quote unquote attack the world with it.
Right.
So finding purpose is somewhat simple. It's really executing the purpose
Mm-hmm.
that's tough. But for me, you know, you want to please God. Period.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to do that? And you please God by being the best self. You please God by being the man that you need to be for your family, and then giving back.
Now, that's I mean, we're really talking the same talk,
Yeah.
to be honest. Now, he says getting purpose will lead us to pleasing God, right?
No, no. You get your purpose from asking, how do I please God?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Correction accepted. You get your purpose from asking, how can I please God? Now, in the framework that I'm talking about, um, we talked about getting purpose from the third dimension, right? In a prior video. I won't recap that totally here now, but uh, in the first dimension, we develop some of the more carnal, basic tools that we use in life. In the second dimension, we engage with the world in competition and standing. And then the third dimension is where we realize some of the more esoteric nuances that we bring to life, or that we seek from life. And sometimes we have to go through different stages to get to where we realize who we are, to become aware, to become open and aware. A baby goes through conception, right? Um, then they're incubated in the mother's womb, and then they're birthed into the world. And that's when awareness comes. And that three-part system, it replicates itself in life. And so I see us come out, we grow as young people, and we develop our social and self-awareness in those years of formation, adolescence, come into young adulthood, and then we enter into the world. We come into the world and we start to see how the world responds to us, how people react to us in the world. And at a certain point, that interaction, it forms who we are. It forms how we walk. Let's think. Someone who, like we talked about, who's a basketball player, 6'6". Let's say it's the average, 6'4", the average height or something like that. But they know that because of their standing or stature, physical stature, there's a way that the world responds to them. We start to get an awareness of who we are, and it's my thinking that we need the experience of getting feedback to know who we are, to form our purpose, because purpose is the thing that's going to bring us into the fullness of our essence. Purpose is not going to work us for someone else's benefit primarily.
Mhm.
Purpose is going to be something that returns to us
Mhm.
for our development, for the fullness of our development, so that when we enter the fourth quarter of life, or whatever stage that is. And this isn't the same experience for everybody. There's some people who, they have very short lives, or, their lives are not particularly punctuated with meaning, right? Because of many things that get in the way of us really fulfilling. But when we look at moving into the fullness of who we are meant to be, this is our pursuit of purpose. And this is something that will really play out through the course of all of our days. Even as I sit here talking about purpose today, I'm made aware that it is it is a unfolding reality
Mhm.
for me. So we may learn what the seeds of our purpose are in our 20s, possibly, right? I think the most fortunate of us learn the seeds of our purpose around that time.
Mhm.
As we are moving into young adults. In our 30s, we start to, what do you call it, fertilize the reality of our purpose. And it's not necessarily our vocation, it's not our job, but we start to fertilize it in terms of how we're moving. And you'll see as we move that we haven't even gotten into the next P of male masculinity, man.
Well, I mean, you
But
want to
this is
cover
good.
it.
This is a
Yeah.
good baseline jump off. But there are stages where we start to grow and we start to fertilize the land of our purpose. And then we move into maturing into our purpose. And then we start moving into mastering our purpose. And we've matriculated into our purpose. And then we start to hold our purpose in meekness. It's real easy. That's why I think we look at senior people sometimes, and they just have an ease about them. They're fully aware, definite, confident, assured, and exactly who they are because of a lifetime of walking in the things that help them become more aware of their purpose.
Gotta,
See, this called
no,
conversation.
because
It's
I
called conversational tennis, y'all.
that was
You get it and you take it. You go, pop.
like that little last piece was cute,
Stop it.
but
Get some
I don't
help.
think I think a lot of people don't realize their purpose, and I think a lot of older people are more set in their ways because they're set in their ways, not because they realize their purpose. And I think a lot of older people actually missed their purpose or didn't get a chance to understand or bring their purpose into fruition. So when they get older, it's almost like they have nothing else to do. They have no purpose. Because if you look at an older person with purpose, they're still moving because they still have purpose.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't matter how old you are. And guys, I'm sorry, but I've been on my own trajectory, and when you're doing stuff for God, that never stops. Like the work is never done. So, and I'm not trying to say like it when I say doing stuff for God, like I'm not that old school holy person. I'm just
Mhm.
saying when you do stuff for God, then the one life starts to move with you. You start to move with the tide.
Mhm.
But two, when you get to a certain position, like when you get older, it's still stuff to do. Like you still have work to do. Like I still, and then you still have fire in the tank too. But I see a lot of older people, just walking like slow down, walking around, really don't have much to do because they didn't really find their purpose and they just thought that life was just life and they just let life happen to them.
Right.
But if you find your purpose, man,
Right.
you'll keep going. You'll keep going to 90, 100 until you die.
Right. 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 And this is the caution, and we'll close out the conversation on purpose with exactly what Kevin just said. You know, this is the cautionary tale that of how important it is to tap into and align with the purpose that we each are designed to have. Every single individual is given the fingerprint of a purpose for them to find and develop. And so that's really phenomenal, and it's sad to see, but Kevin is exactly right. There are people who walk in the world and haven't found the way toward finding the center, or they've given it over. That's why I say we go get it. We have to pry it from the jaws of the Leviathan so that we avoid ending up the fourth quarter of life and we haven't really found and developed. And listen, it's not too late for anybody, right? We can move back into the center of exactly who we designed to be at any point in time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a redemptive portal for everybody, right? But the reality of it is that there is a great number and percentage of people who go on to the other side and never have really found what it is, or never endeavored to find what it is. So I will say this, and then we'll move on to the second P, which is passion. If you haven't already, check out the video on this channel, TRU-Man Podcast, Purpose Over Passion in the Third Dimension. You will find some very interesting insights that will give you more color on this conversation. Okay, we're going to take a quick pause and come back to you with the second P, which is passion.